Have you ever had a day when the house just felt too quiet? Maybe the phone didn't ring, or no one stopped by. You look out the window, and the world keeps moving, cars passing, birds chirping, people walking dogs, but inside, it's still. That kind of quiet can be comforting sometimes. But when it lingers, when it stretches into days, even weeks, that silence starts to feel heavy. It's not just being alone, it's the feeling that no one's really there. That's loneliness. And when it goes on for too long, it can open the door to something deeper and harder to shake: depression. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you're not alone, not in how you feel, and not in this moment either. This video is just for you. Today, we're going to talk honestly, gently, and openly about what it means to feel lonely as we get older, and more importantly, how to find your way back to connection, joy, and even purpose. You deserve that. Not just to get by, but to feel alive, needed, and deeply valued. Now, why are we talking about this? Because loneliness isn't just an emotional state. It's a health issue too. Research shows that chronic loneliness can be as damaging as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even dementia. And depression? It often walks hand in hand with loneliness, sapping our motivation, our memory, even our appetite for the little pleasures in life. But here's the hopeful part. It doesn't have to stay this way. There are small, gentle steps you can take, starting today, that can lead to powerful change over time. And I'm going to walk with you through some of those steps, one by one. Let's start with something simple, but incredibly powerful: reawakening a sense of daily connection. You see, loneliness often grows when we feel like we're no longer part of something, when we feel invisible or forgotten. One of the fastest ways to change that is by creating small, intentional connections throughout the day. I'm not talking about big social gatherings or parties. I'm talking about saying hello to your neighbor when they water their plants, or chatting with the cashier at your local store. Even a quick conversation about the weather can remind your brain that you're still part of the world around you and that others see you. If you're not sure where to start, here's a gentle idea. Take a short walk in a nearby park or around your block and simply smile at the people you pass. Some may smile back, some might not. But your body still registers the effort, and over time, it starts to build a sense of presence, of rhythm. You're not hiding. You're showing up, even in small ways. Now, let's go a little deeper. One of the most healing things you can do for yourself, especially when dealing with feelings of isolation, is to rekindle a sense of purpose. When we retire, when our children grow up and move away, when we lose people we love, it's easy to feel like we're not needed anymore. But I want to gently challenge that thought. Purpose isn't something that disappears with age, it simply changes shape. You still have wisdom, kindness, patience, and life experience. And someone out there needs exactly what you have. Have you ever considered volunteering? Even just a couple of hours a week can make a world of difference, not just for others, but for your own heart. Maybe you help at a food bank or read stories to children at the library. Maybe you visit a fellow senior who's also feeling lonely. These acts of giving reconnect us to something larger than ourselves. They remind us that we still matter. And often, in helping someone else, we find healing for our own loneliness too. If you're not ready to go out and volunteer just yet, that's perfectly okay. Purpose can also be quiet and close to home. Maybe it's growing a small herb garden in your kitchen window. Maybe it's calling a grandchild every Sunday to hear about their week. There's another piece to this puzzle that often goes overlooked, and that's the role of routine. When we feel down or disconnected, it's easy to fall into irregular patterns, sleeping too much or too little, skipping meals, staying in pajamas all day. And while there's nothing wrong with taking it easy from time to time, having a simple daily structure can do wonders for our emotional well-being. Try setting a gentle rhythm to your day. Wake up at the same time each morning, open your curtains, and let the light in. Make yourself a warm cup of tea or coffee. Take a few minutes to stretch your body, or step outside and feel the air on your skin. These small rituals signal to your brain, I'm awake. I'm here. This day matters, and over time, these moments stack up and start to build a sense of calm, of steadiness. That steadiness can help lift you out of the fog of loneliness or depression more than you might imagine. As we begin to feel a little more rooted in our daily lives, it becomes easier to make space for joy again. But joy doesn't always come rushing back in big, dramatic ways. Sometimes it tiptoes in through little moments, a favorite song playing on the radio, a bird landing outside your window, the smell of something baking in the oven. When we slow down enough to notice those things, we start to feel more connected again, not just to others, but to life itself. Now that we've talked about creating daily connections, rediscovering purpose, and gently building routines, let's keep going. There's more to explore, and I promise, it only gets more hopeful from here. It's amazing how something as small as noticing the sound of bird song or watching the sunlight shift across your room can quietly pull you back into the present moment. Sometimes we think healing has to be dramatic or fast, but in truth, it often begins in the tiniest moments of attention and care. And when it comes to easing feelings of loneliness or depression, one of the most powerful tools we have is right inside us, our ability to feel, to connect, and to create. Let's talk about something deeply human, creativity. You might be thinking, oh, I'm not creative, or I've never painted a thing in my life, but creativity isn't just about making art. It's about expression. It's about taking what's inside you and giving it a voice, whether through words, colors, movements, or even your hands in the garden soil. When we create, we don't just fill time, we fill ourselves with meaning, and we begin to process emotions we didn't even know were stuck inside. If you've ever found peace while knitting, or lost track of time arranging flowers, or even just enjoyed singing softly while making breakfast, then you've already tapped into that creative part of yourself. What would it feel like to lean into that a little more? Could you pick up a journal and write a few lines each morning? Not for anyone else to read, just for you. Or try your hand at sketching, even if it's just doodles. The point isn't perfection. It's expression. Creative acts don't just fill lonely hours, they help move emotions that might otherwise get stuck. When you're feeling low or disconnected, creative time becomes a gentle way to say, I'm still here. I still matter. I still have something to give. Another gentle yet powerful way to combat loneliness is by reconnecting with nature. There's something about being outdoors that soothes the nervous system, slows down racing thoughts, and reminds us of a bigger rhythm beyond our own worries. If you have access to a park, a garden, or even just a balcony, consider spending time there each day. Let the sunlight touch your skin. Watch how the wind moves the leaves. You don't have to do anything. Just be. Nature has a quiet way of saying, you belong. You're part of this. And if you can, bring a bit of nature inside, maybe a potted plant on the windowsill, or a bouquet of fresh flowers on the table. These small touches are more than decoration. They're reminders that life continues to grow, and so do you. Of course, one of the most important and sometimes most difficult parts of healing from loneliness is opening up, talking, sharing. We're often taught to keep our struggles to ourselves, especially as we get older. You might feel like you don't want to burden your children, or that your feelings wouldn't be understood. But please know this, talking about how you feel is not a burden. It's an act of courage, and it's often the first step toward real connection. If you have a friend, a neighbor, or a family member you trust, consider reaching out. You don't have to launch into a heavy conversation. Just start by saying, "I've been feeling a bit down lately," or "I miss having someone to talk to during the day." You'd be surprised how many people feel the same way, even if they don't say it out loud. And if you don't feel ready to talk to someone close to you, there are wonderful professionals and support groups out there who are trained to listen with compassion, patience, and no judgment. Speaking to a counselor, even just once a week, can make a world of difference. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a step toward healing. It's also worth exploring local senior centers, faith communities, or community programs. Many offer social hours, wellness classes, and group activities designed not just to keep you busy, but to help you feel connected and valued. Even if you feel hesitant at first, give yourself permission to just show up. Sometimes, just being in a room with others, even if you don't say much, can ease that inner ache of loneliness. If mobility is an issue, don't forget that technology can be a bridge too. Yes, learning new devices or apps can feel frustrating, but once you're comfortable, the rewards are truly worth it. You can video chat with grandchildren, join online classes or book clubs, or even play games and puzzles with others virtually. Many libraries and community centers now offer tech help just for seniors, and they'll walk you through each step at your pace. Let's take a moment here and breathe together. In and out. You're doing something powerful right now just by listening, by being open, by choosing to learn how to care for yourself in a new way. And that matters more than you know. When loneliness sets in, it can cloud your thinking. It tells you lies. No one cares. Or you're too old to change. Or it's too late to feel better. But I want you to know, from the bottom of my heart, that those voices aren't telling the truth. Every day is a new beginning. Every moment is a fresh start. You are never too old to feel connected, joyful, or loved again. Now that we've taken time to explore the power of creativity, the comfort of nature, the importance of speaking up, and the value of both in-person and virtual connections, let's gently continue. There are still more simple, yet deeply meaningful steps you can take to lift the weight of loneliness and bring light back into your days. One of the most underestimated ways to ease loneliness and lift our spirits is through routine. It may sound simple, maybe even boring, but a steady routine creates a sense of rhythm and safety, especially when everything else feels uncertain or empty. Waking up at the same time, having a little morning ritual like stretching or sipping your favorite tea, writing in a journal, or taking a short walk, these small acts become anchors in your day. They remind you that life is still moving forward and that you are an active part of it. Even something as simple as making your bed, opening the curtains to let the light in, or playing music while you make breakfast can gently nudge your mood in the right direction. It's not about pretending to be happy, it's about creating an environment where joy has a chance to return. And joy can come in the most unexpected places. One of them is through giving. When you're feeling lonely or down, it's easy to turn inward and isolate more. But giving, even in small ways, pulls you out of that bubble and reconnects you to the world around you. Maybe you knit hats or blankets and donate them. Maybe you write letters to others in care homes. Maybe you simply smile at the mail carrier or compliment someone at the store. When you give, you remind yourself that you still have value, still have something to offer. And it creates a ripple effect. What you give comes back to you, often in the form of gratitude, purpose, and yes, real connection. You're not invisible. You're needed more than you know. Pets are another source of deep companionship for many people, especially in our later years. If you've ever had a dog curl up next to you or a cat rest on your lap, you know how healing that silent presence can be. Animals offer unconditional love. They don't care how we look, what we say, or what kind of day we've had. They're just there, offering calm and warmth and an open heart. If caring for a pet full-time feels like too much, there are other ways to be around animals. Local shelters often look for volunteers just to sit with or walk the animals. Or maybe a neighbor would welcome help walking their dog. Even a small bird feeder outside your window can bring a surprising sense of joy watching the birds come and go, their tiny wings fluttering, their songs filling the air. And don't underestimate the power of movement. We're not talking about intense workouts or forcing yourself into something uncomfortable. Just gentle movement, stretching in your chair, taking a slow walk, dancing a little to music you love. Movement literally shifts your body chemistry. It encourages the brain to release endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that help lift your mood. Many seniors find that joining a low-impact movement class like Tai Chi, water aerobics, or chair yoga gives them more than just physical benefits. It offers structure, social connection, and a reason to look forward to each week. It becomes more than a class, it becomes a circle of support, a new kind of community. And sometimes community doesn't need to be big. It can be as small as 2 or 3 people you trust, people you check in with regularly, maybe over the phone or in person. A small support circle. People who won't judge or rush you. People who know what it feels like to be human, to have ups and downs, and who choose to stay connected anyway. Spirituality can also be a quiet refuge. Whether you follow a religion or simply believe in something greater than yourself, connecting with a deeper sense of meaning can be deeply comforting. Prayer, meditation, quiet reflection, these practices remind you that you are not alone in the bigger sense, that you are part of something enduring, loving, and wise. Many people find comfort in returning to spiritual communities or exploring new ones. Some start small by lighting a candle in the morning, repeating a simple prayer or affirmation, or just sitting in silence, breathing. Even 5 minutes a day can ground you, center you, and bring a sense of peace. And speaking of peace, don't forget the power of rest. Depression and loneliness often come with fatigue, not just physical, but emotional. Rest doesn't always mean sleep. It can mean giving yourself permission to do nothing without guilt. Sitting on the porch and listening to the breeze. Closing your eyes and breathing deeply. Letting your shoulders drop and releasing the tension you've been carrying without realizing it. Your body and heart have carried you through so much. You deserve rest. And rest is not laziness, it's healing. There's also something incredibly healing in laughter. When was the last time you really laughed? Not a polite chuckle, but a real, from the belly laugh. Laughter reminds us of our aliveness. It connects us. It opens a window and lets light pour in. Maybe you watch an old comedy you love, or call a friend who always makes you laugh, or let yourself be silly with a grandchild. Even if it feels forced at first, try smiling in the mirror. Your brain doesn't know the difference, it still releases those mood-boosting chemicals. And who knows, that smile might just lead to a genuine laugh before the day is over. Every moment you spend choosing healing, whether it's taking a walk, reaching out to someone, journaling, praying, laughing, or simply breathing deeply, you're telling yourself that you matter, that your well-being is worth nurturing, that your story is not over. You are not defined by your age, your aches, your memories, or your losses. You are defined by your courage to keep going, to keep feeling, and to keep seeking connection and meaning, even in quiet ways. Let's take a breath together now. Inhale and exhale. You are here. You are doing beautifully. Sometimes what we really need most is to be reminded that we're still allowed to dream. That just because we've reached a certain age, it doesn't mean our passions, our joys, or our goals have to disappear. In fact, now might be the perfect time to explore the parts of yourself you never had time for when life was busier raising children, building careers, looking after everyone else. This chapter of life, it's yours. Maybe you've always wanted to paint, to write, to sing, or learn to play an instrument. Maybe you wanted to travel, even if it's just to the next town to see a beautiful park you've never visited. Maybe there's a language you once started learning, but never had the time to finish. Or a garden you always imagined planting. These aren't just hobbies. They're sparks, tiny lights that can brighten the darkest corners of the heart. Following those sparks doesn't mean ignoring the hard days. There will still be moments of sadness, of missing, of feeling disconnected. That's okay. You don't need to be cheerful all the time. What matters is that you keep creating space for what brings you joy. Even if that joy is quiet, even if it's small, it still counts. It still heals. One beautiful way to reconnect with meaning is through legacy, thinking about what you want to pass on. Not just things or belongings, but stories, values, lessons. Sharing your life, what you've learned, what you've overcome, what has mattered most to you can be a powerful way to reconnect with loved ones and feel seen. Maybe you sit down and write a letter to a grandchild. Maybe you record a voice message or a video of yourself sharing a memory that changed your life. Maybe you gather old photos and write little notes about what was happening in each one. These small acts help you reflect and remind those around you of your love, your strength, your presence. Legacy is about connection, and connection is what carries us through. If you're still feeling overwhelmed by loneliness or depression, I want you to know something very important. Asking for help is not a weakness. It's an act of strength. Reaching out to a counselor, a doctor, a trusted friend is a way of saying, I want to feel better. I want to heal, and you deserve that healing. There are wonderful people out there who are trained to support you. And many of them specialize in helping older adults, people who understand the specific kinds of losses, transitions, and emotions that come with this season of life. You don't have to carry it all alone. Sometimes healing begins with a single conversation, just one, and you are worthy of that care. You might also consider joining a support group online or in person. It might feel awkward at first, but often the greatest relief comes when you realize others feel the same way you do. You see yourself in their stories, and you start to understand you're not broken. You're just human. If faith is a part of your life, don't hesitate to lean into it. Prayer groups, church communities, meditation circles, they can offer not just spiritual strength, but real companionship. People who check on you, who ask about your day, who genuinely care. And while we've talked a lot about reaching out to others, don't forget the importance of reconnecting with yourself, your inner voice. That quiet, gentle part of you that still hopes, still believes, still holds on. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is talk kindly to yourself. Truly. Many of us grow up learning how to be kind to others, but not always to ourselves. Start each morning with a kind word to your own heart. Say things like, I'm doing my best today. I am worthy of love and peace. This feeling won't last forever. You'd be amazed at the difference it can make. And if no one has told you this in a while, let me be the one to say it now. You are important. You matter. Your life still holds beauty and meaning, no matter what you've been through. You've already survived so much. And that strength, that quiet, enduring strength, is something to be deeply proud of. This world needs your wisdom. It needs your stories. It needs your laughter and your tears, your memories and your dreams. You're not invisible here. You are seen, and you are loved. As we close this conversation today, I want to leave you with this simple truth. It's never too late to feel connected again. It's never too late to rediscover joy, to build new friendships, to heal old wounds, or to wake up and feel excited about the day ahead. One step, one smile, one phone call, one walk in the sunlight. That's how it starts. So, if something today has touched your heart even just a little, I invite you to share it in the comments. Let others know they're not alone either. Tell us about what helps you, what you've learned, or simply that you're here and listening. You never know who you might comfort with your words. If this video brought you a moment of comfort or inspiration, go ahead and tap the like button. It helps more people find this gentle message. And if you'd like to be part of a growing community that supports your wellness, your happiness, and your heart, consider subscribing. There are so many beautiful conversations waiting for us. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, and your beautiful spirit. Here's to living your best life at any age. And remember, you are never, ever alone.